can imagine your oohs are the amount of hards and mediums that are actually mixed up there.
We oohed at the same thing, yes, almost a 50-50.
I can imagine your oohs are the amount of hards and mediums that are actually mixed up there.
We oohed at the same thing, yes, almost a 50-50 split. There's 6 hard runners and 4 medium runners. Well, okay.
But yeah, absolutely, league racing is the same no matter where you are, what type of genre you're fighting in, whether it be the Clios or whether it is these F1 cars. The way you attack corners and stuff is slightly different, but realistically, it's all the same sport. So Nicholas Langay will start us off then at the beginning of this Grand Prix, but we know his starts are pretty good. Has Hyper's been practicing? Has Pampernik got the ability to take off as soon as those lights go out? Because those soft tyres might prove a problem for these two front runners, especially if he gets the grip he needs right off the bat. Waiting for the final car now to get into the boxes. Here we go. So Nicholas Langay will start us off. Hyper's all over the back of him. Lights are on. And it's go time here in Bahrain, and Nicholas gets a pretty solid start. Hypers does a pretty good job too, but Nicholas is just that little bit faster. Already having to defend as Pampernik's up to P2, but look at Yolta. He's right there. He's going for the inside line onto the apex. A little bit of contact between the drivers, but somehow no damage just yet. Little bit of cars going off track, trying to get themselves recovered. That is Hypers trying to fight with Pampernik. Again, having to defend against Yolta. Buemel's getting involved in this situation as well, and somehow it's all clean. All the Hypers is back. Pampernik falls back to P3. Yolta is right on the back.
Trouble to the back. Storm Dennis was sideways coming out of turn 4. And also JC has gone round, so a problem at the back of the field.
Yeah, Gooby's hit JC and got himself really showing his potential right now. Danny's gone into the back. That's a big mistake there. No damage, sorry, actually. I thought it was definitely going to be the way that he went into the back of him, but no. So Danny did run into the back of Absinthe, kept his wing intact. Mizzo's getting the position out of that. He's actually looking for Absinthe as well. He might go for a flick down the inside. He is. Here comes the Alpha, looking for the move. It's very well executed. It's still alongside though. No, he's got it. Well done, Mizzo.
Lots of fighting going on. Coffee in the Williams has got a lot of company around him, literally to his left. Here's the Mercedes of Get Owned as they come through turn 10. Of course, everybody's going to be scrapping for the same bits of tarmac as they scream down through towards turn 11. Side by side again for Get Owned and Copy. Get Owned's gone too deep, and Copy's going to jump through into 12th position, but also keeping an eye up front. Pampernik is keeping Hyper's company, but I think Pampernik's tyres are probably dead by now, as Hypers is doing what he can to chase off after Langay, who's got 1.5 seconds to the good. A lot of scrapping going on, as you say. Danny bounced off the back of Absinthe earlier on. Doesn't seem to be any damage on that one. Hypers, new fastest lap of the
hill. Zones and Absinthe, they were side by side, and somehow Zones ahead, but there's contact. That was very nearly a dead zone. Second, sorry, as Danny and Absinthe were going side by side. They actually banged wheels a couple of times there through 1 and 2, as Absinthe's got the inside line. He's going to be able to hold this one, but Danny's going to have a better exit. Yolta's gone defensive. He realizes that this is the danger zone. Oh, there's a little bit of contact there. That was Yolta who just pinged off his car. He's going to be sticking it through the inside. Buemel's might get the better run here, as Yolta's going to be stuck here, left high and dry. And he does have DRS, but he doesn't have it working. So as much as he could have got that position back from Buemel's, he just has to rely on his natural pace in order to bring it in. And sadly, he just can't get it. And Nick Turn on the back of this as well.
Buemel's and Yolta, so didn't feel the need to try and deploy it. I did wonder if he had some kind of failure there. Also, his fuel light is yellow, so he's going to have to be careful.
Oh no! Some idiot's been touched by Kai. They're both connected. That was somehow. Some idiot didn't get killed there, but he's very, very injured. That wing, is very much in trouble. He's going to have to try and find his way back to the pits. His tyres are... So, I've just heard from the live stewards that the incident between Kai Bicini and some idiot on lap 6 will be investigated after the race. Brownie's actually stuck it around the outside, coming towards turn 4 then. It's going to be a tough one, wheel-to-wheel contact between the two. Gooby is going to be getting robbed of this position, and that is Brownie up into P11.
Now quicker than he should have been, because these guys practice that pit lane entry fairly frequently, unless they don't, and then, well, that's your own fault.
Well, yeah. Oh, Gooby and Absinthe there in a little scrap. Absinthe has just lost out to Gooby, and there's also another car on the inside. That is Yonti trying to get involved in this situation as well. Look how close it is. A little bit of contact between the two means Yonti just lost that pace on the exit, and that means he stays P10. But this is not over. This is far from over. Still got plenty of DRS zones to utilize. And again, looking at where they are, looking at the positions they are in, it is Nicholas Longay on the back of Yonti. He's going to be held up by all of this traffic. And he can't afford to lose any time because look where Hypers is. Currently still out there on the mediums.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was going to say. This is the last thing Longay needed. As good as he is, he will be held up by this particular train. And you can, he has to. He has to go for these big moves as he's just done on Yonti into turn 11. He cannot afford to stay behind any of these guys. Absinthe might jump out of his way a little bit. But you can bet the likes of Gooby and Brownie won't. Now, Hypers has come in, and there you go. That's Absinthe getting out of Nicholas Longay's way. Coming through turns 2 and 3. The Williams to the outside of turn 4. Can he hold it? Can he get it done? Yes, he can.
Look at Yota. He's now got it working again, and he's currently firing up. Here comes Nicholas on copy after setting the fastest lap of the session as well. He just goes on through. Nice and simple. Let's have a look further down.
Turn, so the DRS well and truly fixed on the Yota's car. Oh, that's a big move. That was from a very long way back. Couldn't quite get the traction where he needed it. Here's the Ferrari going to approach to get DRS this time. Doesn't matter. Yeltek has already got the pace he needs and flies past Panpanic before getting to turn 4.
He's here as well. He's very much involved in this. He almost got the position on the Ferrari, but Ferrari's just managed to hold on just about, or has he? Because here comes Buemos side by side. He's gone. Little bit of a deep dive from Buemos. It did not work out, and he's just going to be so frustrated. Look at the cars just whipping on past him. He's not going to have to worry about losing to P9, but Buemos, he was there battling for P4, and he's just lost out now, down to P8. As Euless will have DRS targeting towards that Mercedes. This is surely got to be a return pass because Get On goes defensive to the inside. Euless with a big flick to the outside line. We saw this happen last time, and Get On managed to keep them from the momentum all the way through. And Euless alongside this time, he's going to fight all the way through. He has to if he wants his position. They are going to just touch, but somehow it stays as it is. Nicholas Longay will take the win. Hypers takes second, but look at the dive from Euless, trying to get that move done on Get On. It's just not working, and look at some idiot. He's right here. 2 places could very easily be gained. I'm watching as well for P10 because that's the other battle that could very much change as that gets closer. 9/10, never mind, that's staying as is. Some idiot struggled on the exit there to get himself closer to Euless, and that might actually be curtains on this battle. Granted, it's not for points, but it's all for the glory.
The battle's a battle irrespective of where it is, and fair play to them for sticking it out all the way to the end. Yeah, Danny is taking the last points paying position. Brownie 11th. Yonti 12 as somebody who's wandered a little bit too wide on the exit of turn 14. Ghetto, well, this pack now is going to be next over the line. Kai Bettini, a lap down, has come over the line. Here comes the last of these runners. Oh, Euless, I wondered if he was going to have a lag moment there. But, yeah, there we go. Now the penalties kick in. Euless has actually come 14, somebody at 15. Ghetto is still falling through the field. Dennis came over the line, and that is all.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Rwagnation League Grand Prix here in China. This is the F1 cars. You've seen how crazy it can be around China, but joining me on the caster's desk to make it even more crazy is Mr. King Kodiak himself. How you doing?
I've been suffering a little bit with the cough and a splutter. The voice is a little bit cricky, but the show must go on. All ready and raring to go for the shenanigans in Shanghai.
Now, Nicholas is topping the charts at the minute when it comes to the driver standings. He is 50 points as it stands with Hypers hot on his heels, only 14 points back. But that doesn't mean it's all over in any way, shape or form. But it does mean it's about to get very difficult for everyone else to try and close in just a little bit. Looking at the rest of the grid, it's a little bit tighter around there. There's the only points outside of the top 10 are Zones, Danny and Copy. Everyone else yet to score. There is still plenty of opportunity for things to change. Now, I'm waiting to see how it's going to go when we get into the grid overall, but Mercedes currently topping it by 1 point. That's all that separates them between Racing Point and themselves. 51 points for Mercedes, 50 points for Racing Point, and then it's a much bigger gap between Williams then for 25 points separating them with AIM in P3. Renault then in 4th with 21, and Toro Rosso there in 5th. This is the track they're going to be attacking today. It's 16 turns, it's got a fair few DRS spots, and it's going to be a very enjoyable experience to say the least. Now, we are going to have a very quick look at the hot areas of the track, as this is turn 14. We saw in a previous season of the Rwagnation League where it was very exciting in turn 14, as it in Buenos. They all battled out turn 6. We've seen it Nick Turn Toto and Brownie going at it once upon a time. It was a very good, big overtake from Toto, I believe it was, where there was terminal damage. But this is the hot lap around the track. You've got the first turn 1, which is a long, snaky section as we go around towards turn 2, which is again very slow. You've got breakdown, get a nice exit. Don't want to get too hard on the accelerator because you will, in fact, rotate the car quite easily. Accelerate away as you go through turn 3 up to turn 4. Brake hard on the 100-meter board. Get yourself right down to gear 2 and don't run too wide again. Don't get too hard on the accelerator because you will lose the rear. And tyre wear is a huge thing here now. Turn 5 and 6 coming up. There it is. Long left, then a long right. Again, nice and slow going into this one because you need to make sure you're lined up perfectly going into the the next two left-handers, double left-hander. A little sprint up to the second snail section. Here we go then. Brake hard at 100-meter board, get down into the gears. Now long right. This is where the exit is most crucial. You cannot afford to make a mistake here. You do, and you're immediately going to lose a place because this is the longest straight on the track. It's also a huge DRS slipstream fest, and you need to make sure you're braking in towards the hairpin as clean as can possibly be. Brake just as you hit the green sign, there it is, and then go right down into the gears, get to gear 1, but then quickly shift up to gear 2 to get a nice clean exit. Short shift into 3 if you have to, and then go and brake as you see the fence on the right, get down to gear 4, clip the apex, run across, get another DRS line, and straight across the line. Now, we are already in the qualifying session, so let's get straight underway with it. And Mr. Kinkodia, I apologize every week, like it's honestly going to make a difference, but I'd like to hear your top 3 predictions, please.
Well, your apology hasn't altered your behaviour. You're still going to ask me the same question.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely fine. It is the way that the Rwagnation rolls. And I have no idea about that whatsoever. Once again, exactly as you just said, Nicolas Longue is the expected top runner in this particular pack. Hyper's hot on his heels. As for a third, we tend to kind of... the third is almost a bit of a wild card, isn't it? Because the pack is so close behind our front-running pair. Now, I went with Some Idiot, I believe, last week, and that didn't prove fruitful. He had a fairly disastrous race, as most people are opting for a hard tyre first run. I'm going to go with... Who shall I put in?
I might actually help you here a little bit, if that's all right.
Mm-hmm.
Just because there is an announcement we need to make. Now, Jon, who usually drove in the Haas car, has stepped out of the league due to some personal reasons in his personal life. So he needs to go and focus on him a little bit. Couldn't focus on league racing anymore, which is why he stepped out. So hope everything's okay for you, Jon. But in his place has replaced him somebody by the name of VSR Infamous. Now, I don't know if you know much about him, but he is somebody who entered the pro draft in the F1 esports and was he got very far into it. So his pace is definitely not something you can laugh at by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't know whether or not we can put him P3 just yet, because there are a lot of people here that are also capable of being at the pro draft. But I think it's something to bear in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. That is not a. I do recognise the name of Infamous, so seen this individual race before, and anyone that has gotten into sort of pro draft territory is certainly at the, shall we say, the sharper end of the pace scale. You don't earn that kind of shot by being, being Marisha kind of pace. Let's be honest about that. Yeah, rip Marisha. Do we put Infamous in that? I mean, Infamous is certainly. It would certainly be worth an outside punt at the top 3. I don't know. Struggling on this one. I mean, Nicholas Longa and Hypers at the moment are fairly safe bets for the top pair of positions.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that wild card. I'll go with the stand-in. I'll go with Infamous.
You've nicked my 1, 2, 3, so I'm going to have to play it a little bit different.
We can't have the same 1, 2, 3.
Well, Amkasa made a point of it last season, where every time I predicted a 1, 2, 3, if he made the same 1, 2, 3, we had to do it differently. So I'm going to do it just to add sake of it, but also alongside of it, I actually haven't seen how fast Infamous is. I couldn't honestly tell you whether or not I genuinely believe he'll be a P3 or not. From on paper, he should absolutely be on P3, potentially even contesting for P2.
Zones has binned it on the exit of turn 4. He's crawling, and someone else has. One of the Toros has binned it right behind him. Yep, Dennis Vyers has really overcooked that on the exit of 3 and 4.
He needs to be careful. He could get a disqualification for going the wrong way.
Mm-hmm. Hey, that's really rock and hard place, because he can't spin it to the right because there's a wall there, and he has made it across to the opposite side of the track. As Yeltek gets the first time on the board. Interesting that we're seeing a couple of soft runners out there at this point. Hypers being one of them. Now, I did not expect that, actually.
Yeah. That's fair shout indeed. Okay, so my 1, 2, 3.
Let's be honest. We're only really at this point picking a 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends whether or not you believe that Hypers could beat Nicholas. Because...
Oh, right, yeah, I'll grant you.
In Australia, Hypers did exactly that. He did pass Nicholas by, I think it was a 10th in Australia. In qualifying, sorry. So, do I think he could do it again today? Possibly. I'm actually going to go for it. I'm going to stick with the same 3 that you chose, but I'm just going to spice it up a little bit. I'm actually going to say Hypers to take pole today, Nicholas Longate to take P2, with Infamous in P3. I mean, right now he's sat P5, but obviously that doesn't... P6, sorry. He's just been knocked down by Dan, actually. He's chucked in a pretty solid time. This is on the hard tyres, which we do not expect them to qualify on by any stretch of the imagination. So, fully keep an eye out for if Dan can maintain that pace when he switch over. I think ultimately we're probably expecting these guys to go for a mediums hards, because that is by far the best sort of tyre strategy. But obviously we're now driving in a very unique time when it comes to league racing, because the patch obviously came out a while ago, a few races back now, where we have an increase in safety cars. It's a very good opportunity to think about, how are we going to see one? Can you bank on it? Is it worth that risk? Are you going for a softs, medium strategy? I mean, you'll be faster in terms of the actual tyre and lap times you can chuck in, but you lose such a long amount of time because of how long it takes to do a pit stop. And if you have any contact or get stuck under any traffic, you're in a lot of trouble.
And that's the thing, and we're fairly confident on banking on our top 3 individuals, although number 3 tends to be the one that is rolled each week. All it takes is one mistake, and not necessarily your mistake, and your race is done. Your front wing is in the bin, and suddenly you're down in 12th. It's Nicholas Longa, as good as he is, isn't immune to mistakes. No. So we might see him, barrel off into the wall. We might see he could have a technical problem for all we know. Again, last season or last few seasons, you would easily bank on Mercedes being in the top 2, and then suddenly Charles Leclerc happens.
Yeah, exactly.
It's one of these things that that's the thing with league racing, same as real life racing. Anything really can happen. That old anecdote that anything can happen usually does, from the great Murray Walker. It's absolutely true in league racing form as well. Yonti up to second with what's he put on the board? I think Longa's improved his time, 32.312. after a couple of laps on the hard tyres. Several people. Oh, Boemels has jumped up into. Look at that. If you ignore Nicholas Longue's time, or Nicholas Nonge, as I've now just called him, if you ignore his time, look how many people are within the same 10th. Boemels, Yonti, Dan, some idiot. And now Euless.
He's added to that
list. Within the same 10th
list.
of a second. Nice.
Now, I did actually see in the chat, someone called for a Toro Rosso 1-2. It was Bottas Gang. Bottas Gang shouted Toro Rosso 1-2 incoming. So these guys may have put down a ridiculous amount of pace. Bear in mind, we've just seen Bottas Gang smash it around the F2 in the F2 cars and absolutely nailed it in the qualifying, nailed it in the first round, had a really tough time in the second round, but only because of traffic. You know, this, if he's passed any knowledge onto these guys at all, expect these guys to be right there with Nicholas and Hypers. Maybe even, I dare to dream that they might actually, knock them down a peg or two, which would be incredible.
Well, the pass down of knowledge didn't serve Hypers in Australia, in fairness. And interestingly, Hypers is out on another set of softs. He didn't complete the lap on the first set. He's out on another set. Okay, I would not have expected the softer tyres out this early, but if that's what he's practiced, then so be it. Now seeing, wow, infamous some idiot, and Dan has taken the new pole time. We're now 32.154.
Yeah.
Again, and this is the nature of the hard tyres, though, as well. We've said this before. They need several laps to get the best out of them. But Dan, you said earlier he was looking pretty sharp, and he's jumped to the top by 1.5 tenths.
Dan living up to his name of Dan. And Samidia and Infamous, look, they have exactly the same time, 1:32.338, which is incredible to think about. When you've got a race where you are literally talking a matter of thousandths of a second being a huge difference between the drivers, and these guys have nailed the exact same lap time. And it's even quite close further downfield. Brownie and Daniel, look at that. 4 thousandths of a second separating those two. Get owned and Brownie. They're a little bit further apart by a tenth of a bit, but it's still very close overall. I'm honestly very impressed by how this is going.
Now, again, I was going to make the point that Samidius and Infamous were only 0.03 of a second behind Longue. Longue's just set another time. Bearing in mind, this is a constantly improving time, and he's still behind Dan. 17 thousandths of a second. Okay, it's exceedingly close. That's barely the width of the front wing at that kind of pace. But, wow, welcome aboard, Dan.
Yeah. Welcome aboard indeed. And Nickton, he's also joined that party as well. Look at that. P3 now. 1:32.296. If the qualifying alone, bear in mind we've still got 7.5 minutes remaining of the session before things change, and Yolta smashes in a faster time as well. We saw him get P3 last week. This is really shaping up to be an incredible Grand Prix going forwards. But like you said earlier, you're very surprised to see Hypers go out on the softs. I didn't expect him to chuck a lap time in on those softs, considering he actually was jeffing me, if you like, on Tuesday doing a league race, and he was very clear. Do not touch the softs, no matter what, at all, ever. No way, no chance.
Look at that. Your top three, less than a tenth apart. Yelta, Dan, and Nicholas Longue. The entire field, assuming that the Kai Bicini's time, he's half a second off of the back of Dennis Viges. But, first to 16th, just over a second. And this isn't a particularly short lap either. I mean, 1.5 minutes, I think it's an average time. But to see times that close over the entire field, wow, this is going to be a cracker.
Top 14 are just outside of that. Just outside of half a second. Like, that's phenomenal. And even when you get to the top 10 are still with just over 4 tenths. This is insane. I cannot wait to see how this goes down. My only worry is Dan may have just thrown everything in the bin just for his opportunity to get pole because he's on soft tyres. If he completes this lap and he improves, I think he's chucked his race in the bin.
Unless there's some kind of strange tactics going on, I can't see this being the case, but unless they're trying to just lay rubber down on the racing line. But you're laying rubber down for everybody if you're doing that.
Yeah.
So, because we haven't yet seen, I've seen 3 people come out on the softs, which were Hypers, I think Pan Pernick was the second, and now Dan, and none of them have set a time on them. So they really have not proven to be a popular tyre. China was a bit of a tyre muncher in that respect.
Yeah.
Turn 12 as Danny just coming through. Yeah, the outside tires just absolutely scream at that point. And, 1 and 2, that just never-ending right-hander. Again, same issue. So a curious tactic, certainly. A lot of people sizing up the medium tyres now. We're going to get into the Banzai phase in the next couple of minutes. And that's going to be interesting to see how the banker laps then turn into the serious laps. It's going to be interesting to see. He's still out there. He's still out there and he's still pushing.
I would be surprised if anybody crosses the line now. I mean, I think Dan's just ended his entire race here, honestly. But yeah, we are, before your Banzai phase, there is what I like to call the calm before the storm, as majority of the drivers are in the pits prepping themselves for that final push, if you like, or even double lap push if they're really feeling ballsy. But everybody's, or at least majority of people, all by one, have chosen the strategy of mediums to hards, and I think ultimately that is the right strategy call to go for. You could go for softs, which is what Dan's currently doing, or it looks like he's going to do, where you just go out there, smash a lap time on the softs, get yourself up in the grid, and then just try and hold your line, hold everyone back, and use that to your advantage. But doing a two-stop around this track is just not the right strategy, in my opinion. I think he's going to find that out when we get into the race, if he should commit to this lap. I'm hoping and praying that I'm being debated by his strategy right now, because this is the only way that I'm going to be happy about this.
Longue's in trouble. He was actually due to set a lap time on the 6th lap of these tyres, and he invalidated it on that last turn, which means this lap he is on is also invalid. He's going to be cutting that really fine to get back and get another set of tyres on and get the outlap done. As Ulyss Sunny has had a problem and left the session. He's in 10th at the moment, so that's probably going to be the end of his time. I wonder whether is he going to have enough time? It's Nicholas Longue. Is he going to have enough time to get another set of tyres on and get out?
I mean, it'll be close, and providing he's not held up in the pits for any reason whatsoever, then he should be absolutely fine. But he's a pro esports driver. I was about to say the timing could not have been better, but I was about to say he is a pro esports driver. He calculates these things to a T and doesn't make mistakes like that. But looking at it right now, he's fine. His teammate, where is his teammate? He's in the pits already. I think he should be okay, but he'll be crossing the line with very minimal amount of time left to go.
I'll be keeping an eye on him. Infamous, our newcomer, is on the back straight now, giving the tyres a once-over before he does his final run. Now we're seeing 4 cars come out of the pits. Then Banzai phase well and truly initiated. Panpernic's still on the hard tyres, but oh no, never mind, as I say that. Nicholas Longue and Panpernic have just put the mediums on. So keep an eye on him, and the other Force India is out, so that's down to 14. He has now come out of the pits. He should have enough time to do his outlap. Hyper's still without a time on the board and still in the pits, strangely.
So I am keeping a firm look at the drivers. Kai Bacchini is the first one to start a hot lap. He is... Oh, sorry, not the first one to start a hot lap. There are other people out there, actually, further upfield. There is a... Is that a Ferrari? No, it's Alfa Romeo that's out there. Who could that be? Is that some idiot? No, it's not. Wait, it has to be. Maybe he's not on a hot lap. He's just letting everybody slow down for him as he cruises past everyone. Infamous is further behind. Where's Copy? He is... Oh, here we go. This is it. This is the tow that we've been talking about before with the 2 Williams drivers, where they've really put this down to perfection. Look at all the time they've gained. So there's an opportunity here now for Copy and Nick Turn to really stamp themselves right up at the front of the grid. Boemel sets the fastest lap. He's the first one to complete a hot lap on those medium tyres. 1:31.786 is where we stand right now. Can this be beaten? Can Copy do the needful?
He invalidated it on the last turn.
Oh no. He was half a second up as well.
He was. He binned it right at the very last. He must be gutted about that, because they, as you say, they practiced that slipstream to an absolute T, and Copy had an absolutely huge slipstream off of the back of his teammate, all for naught.
Oh, Dennis had a wobble. Oh, that was on the exit. Infamous has crossed the line. He goes pole by a huge 4/10, separating him and Boemel's, really making the debut race here in the Rwagnation League look so spicy. Very well done.
Wow. And also bearing in mind that the difference generally between the hards and the mediums is usually between 6 to 8 tenths. And, that's exactly, there's 7 tenths between Infamous and all the other hard set times. Oh, now that is a cracking yardstick to have put down. Come on then, Longe, let's see what you've got.
Well, he's just crossed the line with 17 seconds remaining in the session, so he's really brought that down to a good amount. Is that Pampernick who's coming to the line? It is. So he's also nailed it even more than that. Look at that. Crosses the line to start his hot lap with 2 seconds remaining. So he could not have got the track in any more of its most optimal state. As there's the first car to cross the line. That was a Mercedes.
Get owned. Nicely done. 31.576 for the Mercedes.
And then we've got Toro Rosso coming to the line, which I think is Buemels. Yes, it is. He doesn't improve, as he was just looking to get his car back around and again. Is that Pampernick coming to the line? It is not. That is his teammate, Danny Coe, who's gone P6. Then we have a Williams, which must be at Nick Turn. Is he going to do it? P2. It is very close between those two, but 131.435 is just not enough to be able to get himself on that top step. Some idiot goes P4. 131.5. Getting very close
Brownie
now.
third. Brownie into third position with 31.463 in the Renault. 300ths of a second behind Nick Turn. Nicely done. Dennis Vidas does not improve. Kai Bicini does not improve from 18th and 11th respectively. Yonti, 6th position, 31.666. Mark of the Devil, if you believe such things. Daniel 14, 31. Look how close the times are. Unbelievable. Euless is over the line in fourth position. Zones, 31.307.
Oh, another one.
Oh, unbelievable. And by 0.3 of a second, Longe saw the challenge and said, come on then, if you think you're hard enough, I'm having this.
Oh, Dan!
Wow!
Dan's knocking him in there as well. This is getting insane. He's at Danny caught Pampernick. Pampernick's coming to the line. He goes P11. That's not enough, but this is where Hypers comes in now then. He's got the corner to go. Has he been practicing enough to get the fastest lap on the track? It's very quick up at the front of the grid, and he's going to go P1. There it is. I called him to beat him. And that's a huge margin. A 10.5 separating Hypers and Nicholas. He absolutely nailed that hot lap. He's laid down the gauntlet, and he's going to have the optimal run into turn 1.
Wow. Talk about a time to show up. Veloci Hypers bangs in a stellar pole time. The only man is sub 31. That is absolutely superb. Couple of cars still crossing over the line, I think. Nope, I think that is everybody done.
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
What a session. What a qualifying session was that. Literally just smack another fastest lap, smack another fastest lap, smack another, and it was just non-stop, relentless abuse. I mean, if you remember, Get On was actually one of the front runners for a fair bit of that, and he's just been knocked down because look how close the times are. Just ahead of him, 200ths of a second. Tied in P10, by the way. Buemels on Yolta, exactly the same amount of time. Euless and Samidia, exactly the same time. Brownie in at Nicta in 7.6. It's just getting insane. I have been informed that Hypers actually got a tow from Get Owned down that back straight, which is what allowed him to get that extra 2/10. So it just shows that this is not just about how quick you are individually. This is about the team game. You have to really focus on that team game. And look at this. Because of that has put Hypers on the top step by a 10.5. Nicholas Longe there in second with Dan in third. Zones in fourth. Infamous in fifth. Really good show on his debut race. And Nick Turnier in sixth. Brownie in seventh. Samidia in eighth. Euless in ninth. Buemels rounds out the top 10, but it's still technically tied as Yolta is in exactly the same time as him for P11. So technically best of the rest actually goes to Get Owned as he's P12 with Yonti there P13, Pampernick 14, Daniel 15, Copy 16th, Danny in 17th, Kai was 18th, didn't catch you. Dennis was in 19th? Yep, in 19th place.
Wow, and it is bone dry. So the pacer they have all no doubt practiced time and again is hopefully going to reflect in what we have seen thus far. I really thought that time from Infamous was going to be, well, it was the time to beat for a period of time. I thought that was going to hold. How little did I know. How did RNL really show up then?
Yeah, exactly. I do have to ask you, though, as Ravenduck's got a question saying, did Hypers use the DAS?
It would be impressive if he did.
Have you seen all the memes about that with the
I've seen some of it.
The flight stick? Yeah, it's brilliant. It's so good. I mean, it's exactly what it reminds me of, like flying an actual cockpit. I mean, in the way you would call a driver or race car driver in French is pilot.
Pilot, yeah.
Pilot, I think it is. But yeah, it just shows that these guys are not that far away from it. But Hypers will lead us away for our formation lap, and that leads me to just ask you one final question before we get into this race. Are you sticking with your 1, 2, 3 for the end of the Grand Prix, or is it going to be a different order now you've seen the pace that McLaren have got?
Well, one lap is all well and good, but it comes down to race pace and strategy here. So those McLarens are going to be a hell of a danger to our usual top two. Now, I'm sticking with Infamous for that third spot, but wow, our Longuet and Hyper is really going to have to work for this. Also, bearing in mind that if what we've typically seen is Nicolas Longuet just running off into the distance, that's not easy to do here in Shanghai, mainly because of that long straight. If Nicolas Longuet can build up enough gap between himself and Hypers, I mean, that really does depend on Hypers having a bad start. I know we're mainly focusing on our top two. I mean, there is 17 other drivers out there. I understand that entirely, but those two have been the consistent ones up the front. Everyone else has really much fought for the rest. And I have no doubt we're going to have some amazing racing from them as well. But, in order for Longuet to do that, he's just going to have to hope that Hypers has a bad start, just run off into the distance. But Hypers, all he needs to do is just stay there, stay in the slipstream of Longuet, because that back straight easily allows for such a massive gain, as we saw in qualifying, as Ulysses had another technical trouble. How much time do we see our qualifiers get? 2 and a bit tenths. It's a massive amount of time to gain in one straight.
Yep, it is indeed. So
look at the gap between Hypers and Longuet. Longuet and Dan. They're really wanting to get on with it. The McLarens are like, nah, we'll take our time here.
Yep, let's keep our tyres a little bit warmer. Now, the thing to focus on is outside the top 10. Only one of the drivers has actually gone for a different compound to the hard. He's gone for the medium, which is on Daniel. Everyone else is on hards, and they could bring this back in. Yolta did get P3 after the end of the race. Sorry, should I say? I was going to say there was a random racing point just in the middle of the track there. Here we go then. Ulysses has managed to rejoin. Whether or not he's going to be able to race or not is a different question, but the lights are on. We're about to get started here with the Chinese Grand Prix. The drama will begin, and it's a delayed start. There we go. Finally, we're away. And has Nicholas been caught out by that? I don't think he has, but Hypers has actually matched his start. Look at this. Round the outside, Hypers holds it for the... Oh, no, there's contact. Hypers is facing the wrong direction, but he's caught it. There's carnage further back. Dan gets a slam into the side. There's more carnage going all around. All of the cars are being shunted left, right, and centre. And Hypers had a drastic start, but so did Nicholas, down into P2. Well, he stays P2, but Zones gets a beautiful line up towards turn 1.
Oh, no.
We've lost a car. Is that Ulysses?
Ulysses and Danny, yeah, Ulysses is lagging very, very badly, and sadly, Danny was just the one out of position and in the wrong place at the wrong time. Oh, that was such a shame, but Zones now leads the way ahead of the warring Longuet and Hypers. Hypers now down to 4th as a result of that really minor impact between Longuet and Hypers. Copy and Dennis are having a bit of a side-by-side as well further down the field as the Williams and the Red Bull are side-by-side. The Williams has run out of road. Oh my goodness, not a great start for Danny and Ulysses.
I feel bad for the stewards because they're going to be all over this, but as Daniel goes down the inside of Copy and just manages to move up, reset where he was from before. So far, as we come towards the back straight before the action begins, the biggest winner so far is Dennis, who's climbed 5 places, but Zones will definitely feel like he's the biggest winner as he's under attack from Nicholas Longuet in towards the final hairpin. He's going to get the line, going to get the position, but can Zones get the cutback? He's right there alongside of him. He's not going to get it. Nicholas, with the dive of the century, gets up into race lead position. Zones will sit there, and Infamous up 2 places on the final step of the podium. Granted, it's only the end of first lap, but it's still going strong.
Someone lost a chunk of front wing, I think, on that last corner. I don't think it was our top 2. But yeah, Longuet doing exactly what I thought he would do. Bearing in mind, if he's anticipating a penalty because of the impact between himself and Hypers, he needs to go. He's got to run. He had to make that move. But, of course, Zones, if he can hang on to the back of that racing point, then he is going to basically just repeat the same move back on Longuet. So that battle is by no means done at all. Oh my goodness, this could go any different ways. But look at Infamous right there and ready to do the business on zone, so to speak. Not really going to do anything through the twisties here, but he's setting himself up for... You can make a move into turn 11. You've got to hope that the person ahead of you is behaving themselves if you're going to do that. But yeah, the main pressure point is going to be turn 14. After that massive straight, one of, if not the biggest straight in the entire F1 calendar. And, they've gotten this exit right, 12 and 13. And zones, well, pretty much everybody that's coming through there now have done it fairly well. Yellow flag sector 3, that is, I bet you that's Euless. Euless and Danny at the tail end of the field. Euless, like I said, has been lagging a fair bit. But yeah, Longay's going to have a lot of work to do. Well, there you go. Very, very close between the McLaren and the Racing Point. Nicholas Longay has managed to then start to stretch his legs, but again, you can't discount Infamous. He's all over the back of the McLaren, and that wasn't a particularly good exit from the final turn for zones. Here comes Infamous. Is going to have the slipstream. Bearing in mind they don't have DRS here. Oh, I thought he was going to commit to the inside line, but he didn't. He's going to try and force zones into a compromising position. He's side by side coming through turn 2. That's a brave man to try it, but doesn't complete the move just yet. Now through 3. Infamous, he's going to want to dive into 6. That's what he's setting himself up for now. Zones a bit squiggly coming out of turn 4. Thinks about it, but no, does not opt for the move. Ooh, this is going to be grand, I think.
Yeah, it really is. Keep an eye on Hypers as well. He's brought himself back to P4. He's working his way back through the field as much as he can, but these guys are where you get into the super fast drivers. Nicholas Longe is still within sight, though. That's the bit that he's looking at. That's the area he's looking for, and he just feels... It's a real feel-sad moment for Hypers, given the fact that every race, he's just been there on the back of Nicholas, and this is the time where he's got the pace, he's shown he's got the pace, he's so ready for this race. He's just not been lucky enough to avoid that contact. I mean, the only thing that might work out for him is that there's a solid chance the stewards might get a firm grip of Nicholas. Now, bear in mind, the Rwagnation League does have live stewards, so we may hear from them, and we likely will hear from them soon, as to whether or not there's going to be a penalty applied to Nicholas, or if it'll be investigated post-race. But look at Hypers, and he's going to go for that send it on Infamous. It's going to be a late break into the inside, almost goes into the McLaren. There's a little bit of wheel banging between the two. Infamous is getting shoved to the outside, and Hypers gets that P3. It was a very desperate move from Hypers, but he had to do it. He could not wait any longer, and Hypers is now seeing that marker at the top of his screen. I have actually had information the incident between Nicholas and Hypers will be investigated post-race. I think it's a bit too... I think you need to see both POVs, really. It wasn't as clear-cut as they necessarily wanted it to be. Infamous still there, though. He's still in with a shot of a podium, especially if Nicholas gets a penalty.
Indeed. But Nicholas has already broken DRS range to zones, and that's exactly what he's been doing every race and what he needed to do to maintain his lead up front. But it could go any which way. The tops, with the exception of Longa, unless Nicholas doesn't have such a great lap this time around, the top 6 really, really close together in between each car. And in fairness, Boemels is not that far off the back of the second McLaren, as Euless has now he's been through the pits, so that's how he's getting a fastest up on the board, or has he? Yes, he has been through the pits. So he's just nicked the fastest lap. That's probably just going to annoy Nicholas Longe slightly.
Well, it means it's temporary, isn't it, really? When they get onto the hards, that's when Nicholas will be able to demonstrate what he's capable of. But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a team tactic strategy to switch over to a softer compound later on in the race for anybody who's outside the top 10 to just snatch that top that fastest lap point away and sort of help that minor point gap.
Ooh, zones did have DRS off the back of Longa that time, so the McLaren was slightly quicker than the Racing Point last time around. So again, this is what I mean. This battle is just not done. You cannot assume that unless you are miles ahead of the DRS zone. And interestingly, zones not have DRS down the start-finish straight, so he's right there or thereabouts, off the back of the Racing Point. But this battle is not concluded. Like we've seen so far this season, Nicholas Longa is just one that likes to run off into the... He just, Vettel of previous seasons just run off and you'll never see him again. He's going to have to work quite hard to achieve that this time, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the thing. Before this season got started, everyone was saying, Nicholas is just going to run away with this all the time. And while, yes, he has won so far, it's not been that easy for him. We've seen a lot of weakness. We've seen a lot of concern for him and as to whether or not he's going to be able to hold these guys back. And it just seems week on week, they're getting closer, they're getting faster. And you could argue right now, Hypers is the faster car.
You could absolutely argue that. Not taking it away from the rest of our competitors. It's easy to kind of lose sight of the rest of the field with what goes on up front. We mean no disrespect from that. As you know, speaking of, there's Dennis and Daniel swap round with Daniel on the softer tyres on the Racing Point, the hard on the Red Bull. So fairly straightforward move there. Now again, Longuet is in a position where zones will not have DRS, but that's going to give Hypers an opportunity. Here comes the Mercedes, and again, like you said earlier, Raggy, he has to make the move. If he wants to have any chance of staying in touch with Longuet, he has to make the movement. Now, of course, this puts pressure on Hypers. He won't have DRS to defend with. Now that you oohed the same thing I just oohed there. Why is he coming in? I did not expect the mediums to last such a short period of time.
I don't think it's whether or not he thinks that the mediums will last, won't last long enough, or if they've died off already. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is, he's gone on mediums again.
He has. He's committed. He's banking on a safety car. He is banking on a safety car. That's the only logical reason to do that, because he's now in a whole lot of traffic.
There's two major concerns from my perspective. It's either he's banking on a safety car, which would be crazy, I guess. I mean, that's very, very, very ballsy. Or he knows something about the weather that we don't. If it does start to rain...
That's a fair point. There is a lot of cloud in the air.
I mean, the thing is, in this game in particular, dynamic weather can change at the drop of a hat. You can go from clear skies, or near enough clear skies right now, to heavy rain very quickly in a matter of a few laps. If rain does come on the track today, this is going to really spice things up, and I don't know whether or not... only Nicholas knows what's going on, let's be honest.
I would not have expected so many hard starters if we were expecting rain that quickly. That seems an uncharacteristically early stop. If we were expecting rain that early in the race, I wouldn't have expected anyone outside the top 10 to have started on hards. Only one person did remember. Daniel was the only one outside of the top 5, and Hypers is in as well. So I would imagine he's covering off. He's just covering off Nicholas Longuet. And again, it looks like mediums going on the Mercedes as well. So again, there may well be a weather gamble going on here. Well, this is going to be interesting. Where is Longuet? He's had some DRS and slipstream off the back of Copy, so Hypers is not going to be able to beat him out. Copy looked like backed out. He didn't fancy getting in the way of Longuet. Ooh, that's curious. Very curious.
Yeah. So Nicholas and Hypers have both decided it's time to pit. Let's go for another set of mediums. Hypers was literally telling me that the two-stop strategy does not work here. You have to go one-stop.
All he's done is cover off Longuet. He's seen what he's done and just copied him. He's seen that he's come in and realised that the hards are not going to... would the hards last that long? Possibly, I guess, but I think he's second-guessed what tyres Longuet's gone on, and Copy's fallen off the road, or he's jumped out of the way. Copy, you're not being lapped, my man. You could have thought that, but he realistically knows he's not in that fight.
So, I mean, sorry.
I'm surprised by that. Very surprised by that.
There has to be rain. All of the signs I'm seeing here means there has to be rain. There's no way that they both go for the same strategy. There's no way that they both choose mediums, softs, which I assume is where they're going to go, especially after doing only Fallout. Oh, what's happened to Infamous? Oh, he's in the pits. Okay. All right, hard stop. We're good. We're fine. I thought he was done, but no. There has to be rain. That's the only solution, but I'm still just so confused by the situation right now. If we see rain later, is it going to be inters? Is it going to be wet? Are we going to see a whole new strategy that we've not seen? I mean, Infamous has done the exact same thing. This screams the wet is coming.
Winter is coming.
Yeah, winter is coming. Water is coming, I think, is the situation we're seeing here. But we've got to keep an eye on these top 3.
I'm keeping an eye on the sky, and I think you're right. I think that cloud cover is getting much, much heavier now than what we started with. So, yeah, that I think is where the gamble is going. That's what they're thinking they need to do to as the best strategy here.
Yeah, I think these guys that have started on the hards are going to need to really eke them out quite a distance. Again, it depends entirely on when that rain comes, if the rain even comes. That's if my suspicion is right. We've not had any confirmation from anyone that the weather report suggests there's going to be any sort of rain, but this could really... I mean, I've seen a little bit of sun breakthrough on the track on this back straight here, where Brownie is working his way towards zones, looking for a potential... I don't think we can call it net P1 because it isn't, but it's physical right now. If this was a late dive, Dan's here as well, so it is a McLaren sandwich with the Renault being the meat. And we've got a Toro Rosso there in P4 looking for an opportunity. Yolta's also going for Geton as well. He's brought himself right up into this now, considering the start where he was P11 despite being tied with Bummels in P10. Dan's in the pits, so he's come off these mediums. Is he going to go into another set like everyone else seems to do? And Nickturn makes a big mistake there with Yonti now chasing him. This could be disaster for Nickturn. Here he comes with the DRS wing wide open, straight through on the inside. It's going to be a tight line in towards turn 1, and if he can hold the line, he may just about hold it Nickturn, and Nickturn give him a little bit of a kiss there into the gearbox, but that's a very clean, very smooth overtake from Yonti.
Soft tyres for the McLaren.
It has to be raining.
Has to be rain. Because the soft tyres will not get anywhere near, will barely even get you halfway. Those soft tyres will just destroy themselves. So yeah, I think they are gambling on rain, but the danger of doing that is it's not clear when the rain will start and also how heavy it will fall. That's the problem. These drivers are backing it, but that's the nature of gambling, you could argue. But it could absolutely pay off. Always being on the right tyre at the right time is one of the fundamentals of racing, irrespective of category. But you have just got to gamble on what Mother Nature's going to do. Even in the sim racing world, we don't know when, if or how hard the rain's going to get. Because if it's only a really light kind of, light spitting rain, the inter tyres are useless. They need a decent amount of water. But then if it absolutely monsoons, then you're going to go full wets, and they are very treacherous to be on.
The timing of it as well makes it even more crucial as Boemels comes into the pits. He's coming off those mediums. We saw Dan go into the softs. There's a possibility that Boemels might do the exact same. But you've got to ask yourself the question, if rain is coming, granted, if it is, which we still don't know is for definite, and we don't know when it's coming, if it does even come, as Hyper sets the fastest lap, surely it would be more beneficial to stay out on the tyre you're on and just hold track position. Like, track position when it comes to changing to intermediates or wet tyres is the most crucial. I think the worry might be is that then, I mean, this screams light rain to me later on in the session is more what I'm seeing, because if it was heavy rain, you would not run that risk of switching over to, pitting onto another set of dries on mediums to mediums like this, for example, because you're just going to lose time. If you stay on the same tyre, the rain's going to come very quickly, rather than if it is a heavy rain rather than light rain. If it is light rain, you run that worry of, well, what if it takes ages to come down? What if it doesn't get to wet weather conditions quick enough? And I have to take these dry tyres, whatever compound I'm on, like Dan, for example, who's going to be having that exact same question. He runs the risk now, if it doesn't come in the next 5 laps, 6 laps or so, he runs the risk of not having a good enough tyres to hold everyone back and just losing pace.
Yeah, totally. And I'm also very curious to see. Now, I can understand why Hyper's covered off Longo. That's a championship battle. That's a personal battle. Whatever you want to call that. As we just had a change to the lead, as Brownie now takes over the lead because Zones is in. Equally, though, you have not got a situation where 2 drivers are coming on the same lap. Or unless one pair of drivers come in at the same time. But everybody has kind of waited for somebody else to react first.
Yep.
Look at the pack. We had 6 drivers in the opening laps. Unsurprising, Dan gets the fastest lap. Also, Hypers is right on Longate's case. I've been watching him for the last few laps. He's now well within DRS range. That's going to be fantastic to watch.
Is he going to go for it, though? I mean, he should. If the gaps stay like this, he absolutely should. Because if he passes Nicholas, he's got DRS on Daniel. And that's immediately a method of him being able to hold Nicholas back. But right now, through the corners, on the exits and everywhere, Hypers just looks like the better driver so far today on this track. I want to say that specifically because in the previous 2 races, it's been very much the other, shoe on the other foot. But today, Hypers is showing a whole different class of racing in comparison to Nicholas.
Unless Longe is stretching out those tyres. But if he's doing that, why did he pit so early?
Yeah.
So I cannot fathom anyone's strategy at the moment, which is fine by me. I love a curveball. You know, none of us want predictable races. Let's be quite honest about that. I am loving this every second of the way. Not that I haven't in any race I've done for RNL. I have absolutely all day long. As Longe blast past Daniel 14. I doubt Daniel's going to be quite so forgiving for Hypers. Hypers are going to banzai that into the final turn. Oh, nearly gets turned into by the second racing point, but does get the move done and maintains his proximity to Longe. But he's, of course, had to compromise his exit from that penultimate turn. Oh, careful, Hypers. That looked very much... That's always a dangerous corner, that last one. You've got to cut it as much as you can to open up your, run down this straight to maximize your speed. But that's such a penalty trap, that particular turn. Anyway, I'm just loving the fact that we have not got... I mean, how many times, Raggy, you'll testify to this, how many times do you see the entire field, or vast majority of the entire field, play the exact same strategy within, everyone that starts on the mediums comes in within a couple of laps of each other. Everyone on the hards comes in within a couple of laps of each other. This is just blown wide open.
And I think that's what makes... It's like the German Grand Prix in the official F1. That rain really spiced things up and made it so impossible to work out what was going to happen next. It left us hanging on the edge of our seats. And this is doing the exact same thing. You've got 5 drivers that are currently leading this race who have all done 11 laps on those tyres and have not yet pitted and likely won't pit. And they're doing a whole different strategy to what was the front runners of the grid when we first started. They've decided to pit early and come onto another set of the same tyre they started on. And we're seeing scraps. We're seeing a Nick turn about to lose that P5 as Nicholas is DRS slipstreaming his way up towards the hairpin. Nice and simple overtake, and Nick turn not going to fight him back. Hypers will need to get him on the home straight so that he doesn't lose pace to Nicholas Longe. If that can stay the same, and Nick turn obviously wants to hold these back at the same time as not wanting to hold them back. Oh, Hypers has run wide. He's gone for a flick and a half. He's got the DRS wing again. Is he going to get him in time? This is going to be a real drag race towards turn 1. He has done it. He's still there, and he's still within DRS range of Nicholas. I am so impressed by Hyper's drive today. He is really committed. He didn't even let that little nudge on the turn 1 affect his mentality. He stayed so focused to achieving the end result that this is... Right now, I mean, you guys get the opportunity to get your driver of the day votes in 4 laps time, where you'll be able to vote in the chat. But right now, you've got to be banking on him to get driver of the day. He's really smashing it today.
Absolutely. Also, 2 cars back, Infamous is right there as well. Bear in mind, his tyres are 1 lap younger again. Longe has done 7 laps. Hypers has done 6 laps. The Infamous has done 5 laps. Dan has done 4 laps. Bell Emmers has done 3 laps. Zone has done 2 laps. That's the exact kind of scale I was talking about. And then you've still got a lot of people on their starting tyre. Brownie, who's leading the way and has been for 3 or 4 laps now, I think. He's just on his own, minding his own business. He is essentially just running a dry race and ignoring the fact that the clouds are definitely gathering. The sun is kind of disappearing off that back straight now. Unless temperatures, I can't imagine temperatures are going to be affected that badly, but you never know. Stranger things have happened as Dan has just flown past Dennis on that back straight. Dan is going to be doing a rain dance in that cockpit. He wanted to rain and he wanted to rain now.
Right now.
He will not have a lot of life left in those soft tyres. So he needs the rain, and he needs it soon.
Infamous just makes that pass on at Nick turn, which is crucial at this stage of the race, as the gap's starting to get a little bit too much now between Hypers and Infamous as it stands.
Longe and Yonti! They were nearly side by side coming through turn 2, sorry.
No, that's absolutely fine. I mean, it is getting very close, and Yonti's the kind of driver he's a very clean driver. And will hold the position. Look at him holding back Nicholas. This is working wonders for us as spectators, but this is really working wonders for Infamous. Look at the gap he's brought down. 8 tenths in like 3 corners to bring himself closer and closer to this gap. This is where the teamwork really comes into effect. Yonti is well within his right to defend the way that he is. He's 13 laps on these hards as well, and if the rain does come in the next sort of lap or 2, that's when Yonti will be like, oh, I'm still what was next to the original leaders. So I have a chance here of getting a podium. I have a chance of delivering something exceptional. But I think that these two may have actually made a massive mistake. I don't think they should have picked when they did.
I'm with you. I think they've done it way too early. But then, what do we know? We don't know what the weather report said. This is going to be fascinating. So Longe is going to get DRS off of Yonti. Yonti has defended well, but knows he can't defend here. Hypers has got to get the move done as well. Is he going to be boxed in? Oh, that's a massive send if he's going to try and commit from that far back. Yeah, he got pushed over the apex. That'll be a warning for sure. Oh, wow, he had to kind of back out of that. Yonti is accommodating as he is. He wasn't just going to let Hypers dance through. Hypers, he should have backed out a little bit on that one. DRS now for Yonti and for Hypers. This is bad news for Hypers. He needs to clear that Haas as quickly as he can. This is an opportunity for Longe to try and run over to the distance. Oh, and again, we saw Hypers do this before, side by side through turn 2. That's borderline desperate. Oh no, Yonti's round. Oh no, that's why you don't make a move into turn 2. It's easy for me to say, I'm not the one driving. Oh my goodness me, Stewart, you're going to be busy today.
Yep, absolutely. I think
and
ultimately... No, he's still there. He's hanging in now on the back of this. So they've swapped places of the two Haases, and to be honest, I don't think that's actually a bad thing that happened to Yonti.
It's raining. The rain is falling.
It's here.
Well, well, well.
Oh, it's about to get good now. Oh, this is ready.
What have you been about to?
All right, it's about to get even more insane than it already was. Pit stops are about to light up. Mercedes are about to double stack. The Renaults are about to double stack. The Haas drivers are about to double stack. The only drivers that are really not going to double stack out of this top 10 grid is the Racing Points and the Williams. They're the only two that aren't going to be affected by a double stack. And that's where the worry comes in. Can you afford, because you can't really is the answer, you can't afford to not double stack. If you stay out another lap and it is absolutely wet weather tyres or intermediate tyres, whatever you want to call it, you are going to lose so much time, way more than if you double stack, and you're just going to have to take that loss. And realistically, the driver behind is the one who loses out, which right now means Hypers will lose out.
Dan and Dennis are still having a hell of a scrap, and they're actually fighting all the way to the last turn. Oh, that rain, depending on which camera you look at, that rain's pretty heavy. Oh my goodness, Boemels is right in that particular scrap as well. He's like, well, if you're going to carry on messing about, I'm going to have this position instead. But, I wonder if Longe is ruining that decision. Hypers, I don't think will care what way the weather's... Oh, we lost Daniel. Why have we lost Daniel? Oh, he's disconnected. So that's a shame. Yeah,
he should have a backup invite, though, so he might be able to get back in pretty quickly.
I would think Longe, I think is going to rue that decision. Hypers just wants to stick with Longe for the time being, although I'm sure Hypers has intentions of taking the win no matter what the circumstances are. I'll tell you what, this is looking good for our top 3, particularly for Brownie.
Well, yeah, not just that. Yolta as well. If you look at the position changes, and well, even Geton, he's actually jumped even more places. Look at this. He's gone from P12 to P10. Yolta has obviously claimed up 8 places and got himself into P3, which is just incredible. But, and this is a big but in this case, and I'm not going to lie.
That's good,
it is. Yolta is looking good to take a P2, in my opinion, but only if he doesn't get affected by the double stack, which currently, that gap would suggest he's actually clear away. I don't think he's in trouble. Who's pitting? Let's see. Start at the front. Brownie, no. Geto, no. Yolta, no. Nicholas, no. Hypers, no. All right, pretty much the answer is no. It's not time yet, but it might be if you are at the back of the grid.
Yeah, it is really starting to rain hard. So I think next time around, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing spray coming off of people's tyres. Oh, 2 in. That's Daniel and Dan. I think Daniel had just about reconnected in time for that decision to have been his, unless his bot has brought him in. Either way, Dan has followed him. Dan probably had no choice. He was down to rubber bands by now on those soft tyres. But he is starting to really rain hard. I reckon next time around, inters for Dan, hards for Daniel. I would think you are still a ghost. Let me just double check. Yep, you're still a ghost. That's his race utterly mullered. That's a great, great shame. But inters for Dan. That could pay absolute dividends, but it's really, really borderline. It's not quite wet enough, but if it keeps raining the way that it looks like from my perspective, he may well have timed that perfectly.
See, this is where Hypers could benefit now, right? If he gets the DRS on Nicholas and passes him, he could affect his run into the pit lane. He could actually really make it better for himself if he can hold Nicholas back, if he can pass him here. This is the drama bit, because both of them will have DRS. Yolta will be ahead of Nicholas, and I don't think Nicholas is going to be able to get the jump, although he might go for a late send. He's looking for it. Oh, he's broke on time. Hypers will use this to gain in. Look at the time he's getting. It's right there alongside of each other. Yolta and Nicholas, but Yolta gets the exit he needs. I think Nicholas sort of surrendered a little bit. No one's pitting yet. If the DRS gets disabled now, they've made a huge mistake.
I think they've made a mistake. I reckon it was worth coming in now. I'm not a driver. I never have been. Oh, Lonke! I'm not surprised that he went for the move. He saw Yolta struggling a couple of corners ago, so he's yinged that one on the inside. Oh, a bit of an impact between the two. Also, Yolta is on those hard tyres, worn hard tyres in a slippery track. That must be horrible to drive at the moment. So I'm not surprised that he went for the move. Here comes Hypers. He's going to try and send that one on the inside. Oh, 6 rather. Yeah. Yolta saw that one coming and was not interested in that at all. And Infamous has gone through as well.
I've got something huge to tell you. This is enormous. So you know the contact that happened between Hypers and Yonti? Hypers has received a 3-second time penalty for the collision between him and Yonti. So the stewards have been in touch. Well. They have told us what's happened. So you won't see it necessarily in the game. But after that, the stewards will apply that 3-second penalty. And if the gap is not sufficient, he will lose potentially a position or two. Right now, he loses 2.
Oh, Dan's in trouble. Dan's off. Oh, no. He just I was just double checking with the McLaren to see how he was doing. He just lit up the tyres on the exit of 3.
Safety car.
It is. Oh, wow. Did I not say that Longo was banking on a safety car?
How has this fallen into his hands that we've seen a safety car at this crucial point? Because now the worry is, do you pit? Do you chuck yourself into the pit lane and go for an inters? Well, they have to.
Here they come.
If it's not what they don't, but they're doing it. They actually.
Well, I get that. Yeah, everyone's going to be coming in. There is no way they're going to stay, even if they go for another set of dry tyres. Oh. They have to come in, but what are they going to go for? It's got to be inters, I'd have thought.
Inters on the first Mercedes.
Yeah, inters.
This has worked out for Hypers as well, though, because he was going to lose. He's been double stacked, as we predicted it was going to happen. He's been double stacked. He's losing time. When he gets out just alongside the house, that would have been a definite unsafe release if that was official F1. But yeah, Hypers has benefited a little bit from this. He's only lost 2 places overall from the double stack.
Zones didn't get the memo. Zones has carried on. It was his teammate that crashed out. So, yeah.
Well, maybe he did get the memo.
That's brave. Unless he is anticipating the rain is not going to last. Well, look skywards. That does not look like a happy sky to me.
No.
And also, Dennis has come back out on medium tyres.
See,
now he's expecting it to be dry enough to carry on.
Yeah. I'm in a mindset. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they've seen the rain, but I don't think it's going to rain enough for you to come off of the dry compound tyres. If that's the case, Zones is going to be so far ahead, you will never believe it. Alongside that, Dennis, on those mediums, may get a podium.
Fly through the field.
Yeah, he may get a podium. Because...
Oh, yes.
This is going to be so insane. I think Zones has made the right call, honestly. I think he's seen his teammate who was on the intermediate tyres when he crashed, remember? Couldn't get the grip together. It's just whether or not DRS gets disabled at any point in this race. That's the point that the game decides it's now time for intermediate tyres. And that's when the tyres suddenly disappear.
Get on board with Hypers and watch that back straight. And you tell me that is suitable for drives.
Yeah, I mean, he has got the spray kick up from the cars ahead. If he was to pull to the side, though, it wouldn't actually be as bad as it looks currently. But yeah, from his perspective, it is really, really wet. But if you go on board with Zones, it just looks like it's just spitting, as they say where I come from.
He's just floored that of the exit of 14, and he was still sliding. Oh, that nose just does not want to stick. I know they're going very slowly. They will lose tyre temperature. I get that, but no, not convinced. I am not convinced Zones has made the right call. Someone else has flown in. So Williams has let Nick turn. Why is he in? He's already on Inters. He's in again. Has he bounced off?
I think he's decided.
You reckon he's going to get dries?
Oh, well, it depends. If he's got wing damage, then no. Does he? Is that? No, that's not a wing. I don't see a fresh wing there. This is. Yeah, that's dries. They're softs. No, they're not. Are they? Yeah, they're softs.
Yeah, soft tyres.
Oh, what is going on? What is going on? I don't understand the situations. These strategies I mean, bear in mind, every single team has their own race engineer. Remember that, so that they all can make a decision together to decide what is the right call. The fact that one of them has gone inters, that the other one has gone softs, I really don't know what is going on. Actually, and I was just looking on board with it, Nickton. I thought the rain had stopped, but it hasn't.
Look at Danny and Kai Bacchini.
Oh, Eulis has gone.
Oh no, what's happened to Eulis?
Oh, he's retired in the pit lane.
Yeah, he has. He's retired in the pit lane. That's a shame. Watch Kai Bacchini and Danny. Danny is on softs. Kai is on inters. Let's see if any one of these just wriggles around and can't keep it on the track. We'll know who's made the wrong call.
Yeah.
Because they've got to catch up with everybody else as Yonti gets a time limit.
Yeah. I mean, this is an opportunity for them to really close that gap up. Kai is in a bit of a pickle because even if he is on much more comfortable tyres, he can't pass Danny because safety car rules.
Look at that! Danny can't turn into turn 6! There's no way that the dry tyres can stay warm enough for this.
Well, bear in mind, Zones is on hards, which means it's going to be even harder to keep the temperature in the tyres.
And he seems to be he just wants the safety car to stay there. He just wants the safety car to lead everybody around for the next 8 and a bit laps.
The problem is, we can't even tell if it's switched to wet weather conditions because DRS is disabled immediately as soon as you go in the safety car. So our biggest giveaway, our biggest indicator to tell us whether or not it's going to dry up is non-existent. We have no idea. As there's been most of the time throughout this entire Grand Prix, we have had no idea how this race is going to change.
Nickton just fell off the road at turn 14. I guarantee you he's going on to Inters.
Yeah, he has to.
I guarantee you.
But now Zones is, for want of a better word, absolutely bricking it. How do you now go from where you are in P1? Because you're going to lose all of those positions right the way down to P15. You're going to be behind at Nickton. Ahead of at Nickton, but that's only if at Nickton doesn't gun it because he's got the gap now. He can actually go as fast as he wants to close in on the back.
Kai has flown past Danny. Danny, again, fell off the road at turn 14 and he is now in. And Dennis is also equally as shafted because he's in the middle of the pack.
Yeah.
And, well, at least he's in the pack. This is what basically the safety car is waiting now for Danny. Danny now on the intermediate tyres. That's the only thing he could have done. I don't know what. This is
mad.
Yeah, this is.
Zones is in so much trouble under the safety car restart. Yeah. He would need an absolutely godly escape off the run. And yeah, I mean, looking at it now, it's absolutely intermediate tyres. There is no way you think of it.
Raining. He needs it to stop raining now.
2 laps ago, when the safety car came out, that was the moment when he said, "You have to stop now. Safety car's in this lap." So this is where we're going to find out how bad it is between the intermediates and the dries. Obviously, they can't overtake in the current conditions, despite the fact that Infamous just had a moment where he almost did. This is down to Zones to get the exit of Dreams, but somehow make these hards go the final 7, 8, if you count the remainder of this one, laps, without losing any positions, without losing the car, but also really focusing. Interestingly, Brownie's actually built up a bigger gap to P1 than P1's built up to the safety car, almost. So Zones.
Brownie's in the pound seat. He's adamant the Zones are going to fall off the road. I'm adamant. And look how much Zones has to tiptoe around that last turn.
Right, here we go.
He's not trying to build up. I don't think he's trying to build up a gap to the safety car. I think he's ending up building one to the safety car. Oh. Come on, Zones, just accept your fate, dear boy.
Oh, massive
no!
penalty for Infamous with a collision. He's out with Nicholas Longay, but the restart is underway, and immediately Brownie is shot up. Zones has lost position to it, and Nicholas Longay with contact between the two. Zones has forced him off the track. Hypers is through. Get On is through. Nicholas is struggling to hold everything together as Infamous is alongside of him despite the penalty. Get On runs wide. Hypers is looking for an inside line. He cannot get it, and Brownie is loving life for the front of the field.
Brownie nailed it perfectly well. Get On just followed the carnage through. Here comes Hypers as well. I can't imagine Get On is going to hold up Hypers to any great degree. Will Hypers know he has that penalty? He probably suspects he has the penalty with the impact that happened. Yeah, Longay, that was an unnecessary move. He did not need to commit to that outside line coming through turns 1 and 2, and there was no way Zones was going to be able to turn in enough. He just got carried off. We are sailing off into turn 1. He had no choice. So, Nicholas Longay just got pushed miles off track. And if Hypers has got a godly setup going on, there's no reason that Longay wouldn't. But if Longay's got damage on that car, front wing looks okay, admittedly. The Racing Point could well be struggling. Although Infamous isn't in a attacking position yet, he's actually got Buemos to contend with as they come through that last turn, because they won't have DRS whilst we're still in rainy conditions. But Brownie, welcome to the party.
Yeah, very much so. He's really smashed it so far. But now, here's where there needs to be a team decision between Mercedes. Hypers has that penalty. Whether or not, he should know it. The stewards do very much inform the race engineer, who should be talking to his drivers. So this is a scenario where Get On needs to swap places with Hypers. Despite his major off, he has to swap places and hold Nicholas back. Build up somehow. He needs to build up a 3-second gap to allow him to just sort of push away and secure that position. Maybe even pressure Brownie, put an additional car between him and Nicholas, and just pray that something goes wrong. But bear in mind, though, there is still a review to happen between Nicholas and Hypers. We don't yet know whether or not Nicholas is going to get a penalty, as Jonty's just literally sliding on through past Panpernick up into P9 now. And it's just getting... it's getting so tense. My voice is getting destroyed from this Grand Prix, and I love it.
What a way to go. Interestingly, Infamous is not hanging on to the back of Longay at all. I think Infamous has gone too much the dry setup. He's not got enough confidence, grip in that car, although he's maintaining about half a second gap between himself and Buemos. I think that's mainly because Buemos hasn't had a chance to attack Infamous yet. Look at that, it's nearly 2 seconds now between Infamous and Longay. Equally saying that, Longay is not climbing all over the back of Hypers. Look at Hypers to Get On. He's loving that slipstream, and he'll be really enjoying it down this back straight. And Longay's just really struggling through 12 and 13. Goodness me, that's the second gap between.
Hold that thought, because Buemos and Infamous are side by side as they drag race all the way down to the hairpin. Buemos has got priority here because he has the inside, but Infamous could get the cutback. Who's going to get it? Buemos has clipped the apex perfectly. Infamous is looking for a cutback, but just cannot get the exit he needs. And Buemos steps up to P5. The Toro Rosso is working his way to the front of the field.
Nicely done. As again, there we go. There's the team orders. Get On has got out of the way of Hypers. So Hypers now through into second position. Get On has got a job to do. What was the penalty that was applied to Hypers again?
Hypers has got 3 seconds.
3 seconds. So, it's doable. Get On just needs to make his Mercedes as wide as he possibly can. Longay's not got any immediate pressure behind us. 2.5 seconds, 2.25 seconds between Buemos and Longay. This is a prime opportunity for Buemos to really get stuck in and have a crack at Longay if he can close that gap down. But again, they only have 5.5 laps left to do it. And Brownie is just, he's gone.
Look at some idiot. He's actually just managed to get his way back past Jonty. Jonty did actually attack him and gain that position for a second. Panpernick's gone through as well because Jonty's just ran wide on that first left-hander of the S's. And now you can see some idiot holding these two back. And it's actually building up a train now because the two Williams in 11th and 12th are looking to get some points. They're trying to bring the gap that they've got currently towards the Mercedes and the Racing Point even closer. The incident between Zones and Nicholas Longay on lap 22 will be investigated after the race. So there's going to be
two incidents.
Oh,
Longe, he's spinning. Oh, he had a massive half spin coming through that final turn. Final turn, not the air. At turn 13, he's lost a whole bucket load of time. Hypers is going to be loving life as he is closing in really quickly on Brownie as well. Hypers is having an absolute stormer. Pun fully intended.
I mean, he has to. He's delivered everything, and he's already on the back of Brownie. This is looking dead set for a Hypers to take the race win. There's a McLaren, that's Zones. He's retired. He's had enough. He's not made it. And that is it for the end of his race. So that is a P17 for him. But look at Pampernick on the back of Samidia, and Yonti's on this situation as well. He's just not close enough for the minute, but he's got the inside line as Pampernick. He's going to be able to hold himself there. It was a bit of a touch between the two. Samidia runs wide as a result of the little knock that he's received. Yonti's now right on the gearbox of that Alfa Romeo, but a mistake there from Yonti will allow a Nickturn to look for the inside line. Not going to get it there. Copy's still sitting here too, watching this as well, waiting for a mistake. And if a mistake like what Nicholas had happens to any of these drivers here, points could be on the table for Williams.
Oh, well and truly. This is such a fantastic battle going on. And equally, Hypers has his 3-second gap over Longe. He doesn't have it over Getone yet, but you could argue that Getone's got nothing to gain. Well, second, you could argue, but from a team perspective, he'll have nothing to gain from challenging Hypers. Hypers has already got the gap he needs to overcome his penalty. And now Longe's on the books for 2 investigations. So Longe could drop quite a way down. If he gets a pair of 3-second penalties, that'll drop him down to 7th or 8th or so. So wow, what did we say about it could all go wrong in one race? I think it's fair to say this has not been Longe's day. I wonder if again he's banked on a more as drier setup. Equally, it stopped raining.
Yep.
I've been wondering why Dennis has stayed on those soft tyres, on those medium tyres. I don't think he's going to gain anywhere near the time behind him. He's just squirming everywhere. He's just having a drift. He's just enjoying his own. The Williams there now.
Infamous is in. Infamous is in the pits. He's decided it's time to swap. Now, this is where things are going to be crucial. 2 laps to go. 3 technically, if you include the one that they're on. If Infamous somehow brings himself back into these points positions, we've not seen DRS get enabled yet, but if he's... he's got a penalty. He's got a penalty.
It's also front wing and soft tyres going on, so he had damage to that car.
No, he's in big trouble.
He'll never gain that much time. As good as he is, he'll never, ever gain that much time back.
Yeah. I mean, he might get 10th. But that's still, look at the gap. That's quite a long way down. He's so far back on Danny. But yeah, even though Dennis stayed out on those mediums as long as he did, the entire time it was raining, he built up such a massive gap to the next car ahead of him that even if the car ahead of him had pit, it'd still come out ahead of him. That's just how much of a mistake that decision was. You lose so much time under those conditions. As Nick Turney's on the back of Yonti. We've also got Pampernick on the back of Yolta. A little bit of a kiss there from Nick Turney into Yonti. One more time. Yonti's struggling in that area of the track. I think it's still too wet to switch to tyres just yet. I don't think you can actually go anything other than what you're on right now on the Inters.
He had no choice, though. If his front wing was dead, then he had to have come in anyway, so he really was forced into that decision. But Hypers is only half a second off the back of Brownie. There's no DRS available to them yet. And Brownie has gone to that defensive line, now returned to the racing line. Hypers, he's not going to send it from that far back. No, not a chance, not unless he wants to barrel off into downtown Shanghai with Brownie attached to his car. No, of course he doesn't. But look at the gap between him. I mean, that's 2.5 seconds to get owned. And then Longe is another 2.7 off the back of the Mercedes. Buemos is right with Nicholas Longe as Pampernick has gone for an inside maneuver on Yeltek. No, Yeltek's not having any of that. He's going to have lovely drive from that turn 14 for the Renault, but it's gone way too wide. Just about manages to return it back in front of the Ferrari. The Williams pair are still having an argument between themselves.
Oh, look at Pampernick on the inside of Yolta. This is a very smooth overtake from him to just find just enough gap between him, and he's just not going to be able to get. DRS is enabled. This is where dry tyres come into life now. Has Infamous got the pace? Has everything just suddenly woken up for him? This is about to get even more crazy as we're going to have at least a lap and a half where the intermediate tyres just do not work.
Well, we'll run out of laps way before the intermediate tyres just die, I would think. If we were running a 100% race, then Infamous would absolutely have nailed it. Although saying that Dennis has now woken up a bit because he's now found some tarmac he can grip to. But Infamous will gain quite a fair bit of time. But now it's going to be a time as the Williams pair swap round again.
I think they've swapped to allow a Copy to run off, because Copy feels like he's got pace in comparison to the others, as Summit is working his way towards Yolta. Pampanic got through earlier. He's done his bit. Is anybody ballsy enough to switch tyre strategies on the second to last lap? Does anybody box?
Some idiot. Nice inside maneuver coming through turn 13. Yelta's got nothing left. It's too late. There's no point. You'll lose 30-odd seconds in the pit lane alone. You'll never get that in a lap.
Oh, Buemos and Nicholas, they're battling. He might actually get him here. This is an exit of dreams from Buemos. Look at this. He's actually got the pace, but he's alongside of him, and he's going to have the outside line, but he will have DRS, or will he? Yes, he does. Nicholas was going to lose this position. This is disaster for the Racing Point driver. Here comes Buemos in the Toro Rosso, sliding down the inside. There's nothing Nicholas can do. He just has to wait and try and bide his time for that back straight and pray that this works out, although he's trying to hold it around the outside. A little bit of a ghosting session. There's contact between them. Buemos has been rotated. He's now fallen back. Will stay P5 at best as Pampernic's working his way towards it, and Hypers has taken the lead.
Yeah, Hypers nailed Brownie in the traditional sense, down to turn 1 under DRS. Brownie really had no answer to it, and it was safer not to. So, wow, both of our top threes completely destroyed on this one, and what a race we've seen as a result. Love it as Copy gets the inside line on Yalta as they come through turn 6.
Oh, this is so nerve-wracking. Hypers has done everything so well. He's absolutely smashed it. The one thing to think about is Hypers will not get this win. If it stays like this, Hypers will not get the win. That 3-second time penalty that's been applied to him means Brownie will retake the win and get the win he's worked so hard to achieve. So, Hypers, yes, you may cross the line in first. And yes, in my opinion, you absolutely deserve Driver of the Day for all of your hard work and determination you put down on this track. Despite what was thrown at you, despite a full car was chucked at you, and despite you've got Brownie hunting you down on the final few corners, this has been exceptional. Brownie will take the 25 points as we come to the final corner. Hypers, come on, Brownie. There it is. So yes, they finish 1 and 2 in that order before the steward's penalty is applied. Hypers will get knocked down into P2. Get Earned will take P3 as he's just a bit too far back. Nicholas takes P4, at least for now, although he loses it. Look at that, he's fallen to P5. Pampernic jumps so much there into P4. I don't know if Nicholas had penalties or what. I didn't see any beforehand, so I
It came up as an unserved penalty, so that one may be under review, I guess. I don't know what he got the penalty for, but the game gave him an unserved penalty, apparently.
If my maths is correct, Hypers has taken the lead now in the driver standings by quite a margin.
Yes, easily so.
Wow. I mean, I'm going to need to go and get a nice soft liquid to soothe my voice because that race was just insane.
Yeah, there really is no other word for that. Infamous, who I put in the top 3, down in 13th, but then he had wing damage, so that ruined his race. Oh, go on, Dennis, get the fastest lap in there. I don't think he did. But
it was a good try.
That was just... Yeah, I've got no other words for that. That was absolutely incredible.
So the checker flag had fallen, which meant that the driver vote for the driver of the day has also closed. I will get a result shortly as to see who wins the driver of the day vote by the chat, but I want to do a quick run through. Oh, there you go. Brownie is your driver of the day. He wins 45.5% of the votes from those from the viewers. So well done to you, Brownie, for the Twitch chat driver of the day. But from you, sir, Mr. Kodiak, you have a moment of time to think about your vote because Hypers took the win with Brownie there in P2. Get On takes P3. I'm trying to look at the times as well. Who got pole position? Hypers? I think Hypers has got it as well.
Hypers took pole, yes. I think he did.
Sorry, I mean fastest lap, my bad.
Fastest lap. Beg your pardon.
I think Infamous actually snatched it. 134.1 is his fastest. So yeah, it's definitely not any of those in the top 10. So they're not getting any points. But Hypers takes the win with Brownie in P2 until penalties to reply, where that will be reversed. Get Owned in P3, Pampernic in P4, Copy P5. No, that can't be right. Nicholas had apparently 2 lots of 5-second penalties, which has knocked him to P10, apparently.
Apparently so, but
I mean, we'll go with it for now, at least, until the stewards have a review. But yeah, Copy P5, Buemos P6, Samidia P7, Yolta P8, and Nickturn P9, Nicholas Longate P10, apparently. Yonti gets best of the rest with Kai Pacini in 12th, Infamous in 13th, Daniel in 14th, Danny in 15th, Dennis in 16th, and then your DNFs were Zones, Eulis, and Dan. Now, Kikuriak, who's your driver of the day?
Hypers. Don't get me wrong, Brownie well deserves the win. He kept that. He kept his head and got his strategy perfect. And that restart after the safety car was spot on. Don't get me wrong. But Hypers, exactly as you said, he got an absolutely cracking start off the beginning, then got turned and just kept the pressure on Longue for so long. Yeah, the Hypers gets the driver of the day for me for that reason.
Yep, completely in agreement with you. So Brownie does get the Twitch chat driver of the day. Hypers gets the commentator driver of the day. And overall, that's it for the Rwagnation League Chinese Grand Prix. I'm going to need a drink. I'm sure Mr. Kodiak's going to need more than that because of his voice already being destroyed prior to that Grand Prix. But next week, we're back in Baku, and it's going to be even more chaotic than it was this week.